Welcome, outsider. What are you going to do? Are you seeking truth? Well, you're going to need something. What's an outsider like you to do? Why, you'll need a little yawning blood of your own. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about Bloodborne, a game I bought my PS4. Bloodborne. First thing I have to say, obviously with physical goods, is I'm disappointed again with the cover. Another generic person's back! Isn't this interesting? I mean, hell, that's better at least, because at least there's something filling the gray space. Ugh. I mean, hell, even the back's done better, but whatever. You get the usual details and that. The cover's pretty just normal, part of the core if you're American. And you just get an advertisement for some Sony games on inside. It does have a flip cover, which is more likely going to be a people's taste, because, look! It has artwork! Gasp! I just don't know what it is with American covers and publishers thinking, like, people don't seem to be able to understand art. But then again, considering shit that's been going on, maybe I shouldn't be as surprised. But anyway, you're not here to really hear me blabber about how I'm disappointed about the cover. You're here to hopefully hear me blabber about what I think of the game. And why it's hard to say that this isn't going to be very biased in a way. I mean, I'm a big FromSoft fan. I've enjoyed all the Souls games, so it's kind of hard to say that that could potentially be a little biased. But I like to consider myself fair in the criticism, and I have some criticism. So, first thing, most people were incredibly worried about Bloodborne because it was being designed to be a more aggressive game and a less defensive game. There were no shields. Well, there is actually one shield that I found, but it's pretty much worthless in most situations. There's a few unique situations you can use it for, but overall, not really. You can't use it on bosses, that's for sure. Or if you can, I don't know. But for the most part, you want to be very aggressive. And of course, when you're first playing this, that's actually pretty hard if you just came out of all the Souls games, because your mind's always been programmed to be very defensive for the most case. So you have to kind of get used to it when you first start up. It took me maybe about maybe an hour, 2 hours to kind of really get my mind readjusted to what Bloodborne wants me to do versus how I would normally act in a Souls game. Plus, range things exist, but they're not as common or spammable like they are in other Souls games. Even if you consider, Dark Souls and that, they limited your magic casts and that. You still had bows and shit and tons of throwable things you could spam craploads of. Well, all that is adjusted in Bloodborne. While in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, their answer to consumable items, especially with healing consumable items, was to limit it at your bonfire, and normal throwable consumable items weren't affected, but with the healing items. Instead, Bloodborne, across the board, all consumable items have a maximum carry load that you can carry onto the field for each item. So your blood vials, you can only have 20. Your silver bullets, you can only have 20. Your Molotovs, you can only have 10. Throwing knives, you can have 20. Stones, you can have 20. So you're limited to how many consumables you can bring with you on the field. So you can't just have 99 throwing daggers and just, use those against everything you hate. So you have to pick and choose how you use your consumable items wisely, because you won't have millions of them to spam against what you don't like. So you will forced to get very close and personal with a lot of stuff if you like me. And, my concept with the Souls games was, the options there. So, I'm going to take the loot, that seems like a smart idea. You don't go to the landing of World War II with, flags all over you screaming, "Here I am," and that, you're going to do the smart thing for the most case, unless you're purposely trying to challenge yourself. And let me believe, there will probably be lots of interesting challenges. Vatty Viddy is always doing challenge videos for Bloodborne. I can see lots of fun challenge things that can be done in Bloodborne. Now, one of the big changes is your weapons. You don't actually have two-handing weapons. They're all weapons you two-hand, but let me explain. So, I'm sure you've heard, but if not, the game has transforming weapons, and different weapons yield different results of being single-hand and two-handed. So, like, say, the sword hammer transformation weapon, when you transform it in a hammer, you automatically put your gun away, whatever sidearm you have, and you two-hand it. So, that actually gives you 3 buttons to attack with. But normally when you have a one-handed weapon with some particular sidearm of some sort, or a torch or something, you have 2 buttons for attacking with that weapon. And there are a number of transforming weapons, and what's really fun is how you can morph the transformations into your combos. Like, I could stab with my cane, then do a transform, and then whip down with the whip while still in the combo. Or there's a really cool mace that does lightning. Its transformation isn't really a transformation, it's actually activating the lightning in it. So I can plunge with somebody and then hit the lightning and stab, instead of just what would normally be like this to get the lightning to go. So you can do the moves together and transform it. So you can get really creative, especially with some of the stuff that has different ranges or abilities, like, say, the hammer allows you to really knock enemies around. So if you're in a situation, you could actually transform it and then... So if you're really paying attention to what you're doing, you could actually pull off a lot of cool shit. But obviously I'm not that good. I'm not that good, but I'm sure there will be some interesting videos where people show off interesting techniques you can do that way. Pairing. So what are you supposed to do with pairing if there were no shields anymore? Well, you have guns. Now, this isn't going to be like Call of Duty. It's like headshot, 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 headshot. Guns are actually pretty weak compared to everything. Well, you can upgrade the guns to at least do moderately okay damage, but primarily your gun is meant to be your pairing device. When an enemy starts most attack animations, you can shoot them and usually cause them to enter a riposte animation, where they'll like fall down or something, and then you can run up and stab them in the front or stab them in the back. So don't think, like I said, you're going to run around like Call of Duty with all the ammo and just... I mean, there's a few situations, and if you upgrade it enough, you can kill a few things with it, but primarily, it's not going to be a very useful gun to kill your opponents with. It's not going to be that easy. It certainly ain't. And the game will not go... It's not going to gently push you into the game style either. You're going to quickly get mobbed over with enemies. And the game's designed like that on purpose, that it wants you to get into this aggressive mindset. So very soon after starting, you're always going to meet mobs of enemies that you wouldn't normally meet in a Souls game unless you ran through a shitload of them or something. Armor on that. Armor is a very more gothic European design in that, and I have not seen anything remotely like knight armor or anything. The armor, a lot of it seems kind of the same to me. Like, there's several pieces that just feel like the Wii colorings with a few adjustments to the actual clothing themselves, which is a shame because I actually like a lot of the clothing. It's just that so far it feels like there ain't a lot of it, and I can throw that same criticism at the weapons. But at the same time, that also allows them to tighten the design of the weapons and the functionality a lot better, instead of having the bazillions of weapons. So, I mean, you'll have to take that whether that's criticism or good thing or bad thing. I mean, I personally do like all the different variety of weapons and armor in the Souls games. I really did enjoy that. It allowed you to make a lot of interesting combos. I mean, like, with Magic the Gathering, I enjoy playing with all Magic the Gathering cards, not like with official rules where all the old ones you've spent money on are dead and shit and they can't be used. Like, I find it really fun using all the old stuff. Now I know you can make some broken rules and stuff, and it causes some imbalances, which is why I said, with the Wrestle, it allows them to tighten it and have a better balance in there. So people who are obsessed with PvP will probably have a lot better advantages that way and a lot less bitching problem. Now, this video took a while to get out because there were still things I wanted to experience in the game. I still never experienced being invaded or fighting an invader in this game yet. And I'm not quite sure why. I've read a little bit about how that works. And it seems like there's still some confusion about that. So I'm not 100% sure how PvP is. But I can comment on the server and lag and stuff like that. Again, like Dark Souls and that tried to do, is it allows a worldwide option, but you can also turn it off to local as well, so you can do worldwide local. And just like Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, it seems like if you fight someone, across the pond, there's some connection issues, some lag or frames and that. So, if that kind of thing bothers you, you probably want to stick with local, where it's not as big of an issue. It doesn't usually bother me too much, because I like enjoying playing with tons of different random people. I find that one of the fun things. But that wasn't a horribly big issue. But, again, like the other Souls games, there were some areas that had frame rate issues. Had the Blight Syndrome kind of effects. And there were a few areas where that activated. There were also a few animations when I got really close to a few enemies and the camera zoomed in because of the wall or something, while they were doing some special effect. Like there's this enemy, when you damage him a little bit, he does like this power up red thing. And there was a few times where the camera got really close because of the wall, where his placement was. And when I went to backstab and stuff, it caused the frames and shit to screw up in that. So there are some issues in that. They didn't bother me personally, but if that's the kind of thing that bothers you, take that. There are still lots of NPCs, merchants, and that. Well, actually, merchants I wouldn't say necessarily. There are, as far as I can tell, only 2 merchants so far. I don't know if anyone else really sells you anything. It seems as you progress through the game, you'll get access to more items and that, and you'll also access the Insight Shop. The Insight Shop, Insight is the new, humanity item, basically. You gather it from finding certain interesting things that happen and killing bosses. But there are things that happen that also give you insight. And it's supposedly like the knowledge of the world, the unknown and such. But you use it for multiplayer and the Insight Shop. If you want to summon people, you need an insight. If you want to be summoned, you don't need insight. And like I said, the Insight Shop uses insight, which usually is the person that sells equipment from people you've killed. So that's normally who you have to go to when it's like, well, I just killed some random guy, I better go check the Insight Shop, see if his armor or something's up there. Just like the previous Souls games, when it comes to NPCs, you don't know who to necessarily trust, who's good, who's evil, who's going to fuck everyone over. Because there is all the usual. There's your Attract, there's your Patch 3. Well, I guess it'd be 4.0 actually. Because, if you're counting the guy in Dark Souls 2 as Patches 3.0, I guess that counts on what the hell you think. But you got all the usual crowd, the confusing nut jobs that you don't know if you should trust. You got the crazy lunatics that somebody's going to murder everyone, and you're not going to like it. Something that is a little different, though, is those different places you can send people you find, though. So far, I've only found 2 places where you can send people. It's a clinic and a little area in a chapel church area. And you get to decide where these people can go when they ask for somewhere safe to go to. Who to trust and who to go. I don't know if I should trust that clinic. But to be honest, I hadn't sent anyone to the clinic. But anywho, you'll have to decide who you trust, who you think's worth trust, and where to send anyone. Because I don't know. Be honest, all the people, almost all suspicious, to be honest. There's only like 3 people I've met that seem like they're rationally sane, and everyone else is either hysterical, going crazy, or, I don't know, smelling way too many candles. Too much. Whew. But my first impression of the game, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm really enjoying the co-op just like normal. And I know there's this giant, horrible debate online about whether it's really a Souls game or not. Because, you know, it's not called anything Souls. It's called Bloodborne. But whether you want to count it as one or not, you can't deny the fact that it plays very similar to a Souls game, just not as defensively. Your control-wise, aside from a few new laying out of the buttons, like triangle being your new designated heal button, and a few other little tweaks to the controls, you're going to feel pretty easy to get used to the controls again. I do actually miss the ability to switch jumping to the L3 click-in. I actually thought that was an improvement in Dark Souls 2, and I know there's a lot of people who actually did not like that. But I don't know about you, but I found that way easy. Because a lot of times, there were some times where I just died, because when I went to try and do the wall with the O button while running in it, it just caused them, the wall sometimes, to not jump. And I don't know. I've seen people die the same way like that, so, I mean, personally, I thought the L3 was a nice addition to that, but I don't know. I didn't have any problems with it, but, you know, I would have liked the option myself, you know, have both of them would have been nice, but the L3 button actually does have a use, though. It's used to actually look at your stats and that, since there's no longer an actual select button, because it's now the share button, technically. So, use L3 to actually look at your stats and, you know, read about them and shit. So, they didn't leave it as something. I'm assuming they probably just ran out buttons to really sign it, so I'm assuming that's why it's not there. But that's a bit of a loss if you prefer that in Dark Souls 2. Those are pretty much my first questions. I am currently level 33, and I'd say, and this is just a rough guess, I have no idea, because I've been staying away as far away from any spoilers I can possibly know. Because, you know, I just enjoy playing these blind the first time, or at least get to the end and then ruin everything. Or what I think's near the end, but I think I'm like halfway, or maybe even past halfway. I've killed a lot of bosses. let's see, with not spoiling it, I'm in an area that's kind of a school by a lake. And the other area is the icy area, and there's only one I know of so far, so I'm going to assume that I don't need to really say much more if you want an idea of how far I got. So I'm at level 33, those are the areas I'm at. And that's why I really think of Bloodborne. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, my only really huge complaint is why is the load screen so fucking boring? Seriously. I mean, Demon Souls had this awesome artwork. Dark Souls 1, 2 let you read description of items you may not even found yet, but, you know, over time that sadly got bored, but at least it would interest you enough for a good chunk of the game, unless you died a whole lot. But Bloodborne just has a black screen with Bloodborne. Just Bloodborne. I don't get why they did that. I don't, it's like so boring. I mean, it makes the load screen feel like forever. And the last time I've ever felt like that, really, was when I played, like, the new Spider House on the 360. My goodness, that felt so damn boring. Oh, was it I can't remember if I had the PS3 version of the 360. It don't matter anyway. Point is, the newest Spider House game had really long load screens. Because it was boring, Bloodborne, when you make the load screen interesting in some way, put something though, put tips though, put lore. Personally, I don't get why they will put interesting lore items on the load screens, personally, but I don't. But, yeah, I mean, there's a little minor criticisms here and there and that. Another criticism issue I've noticed in multiplayer is there are two bosses that have this issue. It's because they have this technique that allows them to move really fast. It's one beast creature, and there's a king-like fella that has like a flying dash thing. And when you're in multiplayer, they kind of lag through. It's kind of like if you fought Ornstein online in Dark Souls 1 with multiple people, somebody worldwide, that the Ornstein would have this weird kind of move, like you didn't see his blur effect, he just kind of instantaneously abnormally moved kind of look. It's kind of hard to describe it. There was that issue too. Admittedly, I haven't actually fought those bosses by myself offline, so I don't know if that's necessarily a game issue or a multiplayer issue. It doesn't destroy the game in my opinion, but again, you know, if that kind of thing bothers you, it's out there. Overall, I'm really satisfied with Bloodborne so far, and this is just a first impression. Why not even do an actual review of the end of that? I'm looking forward to see if there's multiple endings, a really twisted ending, or something. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at the end of this train ride. But let me tell you, if you got a PS4, this is a great game to get. I mean, there's really no excuse to get it, in my opinion. It's an exclusive to the PS4, and let's be honest, the next-gen stuff, unless you got Wii U, don't have a lot of exclusive games built up yet. They're awesome, but they don't have crap loads of them yet. So, they're in a more trickier situation than the Wii U, in my opinion. Wii U has tons of exclusives, so I don't know why people complain about that, though. But, but definitely, if, like I said with Lords of the Fallen was something to kind of buy some time. So, with Bloodborne out, and then later this month, there's going to be Dark Souls 2 with all its expansions on next-gen systems. So if you never experienced it, or never got the expansions, or you want to experience the new features that will be in the next-gen feature, there's no real reason to get the Lords of the Fallen until it hits bargain bins at this point, people. Because that was all Lords of the Fallen was good for, in my opinion. And there's going to be a review of that. I don't know if it'll be before this. It could. But there will be a review in the future, or in the past, depending on the lore I decide to put the next several videos on. So until next time, toodaloos. Safe hunting out there. It's a dangerous world in Yarnum. Enjoy.